What the heck just happened? We talk about yet another frustrating loss for the Cubs. Let's go.
You are Locked On Cubs, your daily Chicago Cubs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are Locked On Cubs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Alongside Sam Olber, I'm Matt Cozy. Sam and I are lifelong fans, taking our passion into discussion with you on all things Cubs. Thank you for being part of the show and making Locked On Cubs your first listen today. The best way you can help us grow the show is to listen every day. Like the video and comment anything below. Today's episode is presented by our great partners at FanDuel. FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus this summer daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day all summer long. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. A lot to talk about here on a Monday evening for Tuesday episode. Cubs lose 9-8 to the Guardians on Monday in a roller coaster game. Cubs were up 3-0 entering the fourth, down 8-3 entering the seventh, down 8-7 entering the eighth, only to tie it 8-8 before the Guardians got one back to win it. And manager Craig Counsell left Julian Merrywather in the game at the bottom of the eighth. This was after Merrywather pitched the seventh, but really escaped that frame, all things considered, and hadn't gone more than one inning since way back on April 5th after recently returning from a nearly 4-month injury. And on top of that, Jorge Lopez was not only available, but he came in after the damage was done. And we're going to talk about the whereabouts of Tyson Miller and Drew Smyly as well. After the game, Counsell said, quote, "That's baseball, unfortunately," close quote. Sam, the Cubs lose in disappointing fashion as the roller coaster continues.
I know we're live. I would really like everybody to just put the keyboards down for a second and just kind of lock in with me for a few minutes here, because I want to explain to the people why this is so befuddling, because I'm the guy that always gets accused. You always blame the manager. You always overreact. And these are times I regret doing that, because I feel like these games I lose credibility when I come at this. Overall, through the course of this season, I have not been thrilled with Craig Counsell, but that's more off the field, the lack of intensity, the lack of urgency. The in-game decisions overall, I think, have been fine. There's been, of course, you're always going to question a few over 162, but there hasn't been one really since the Marlins game all the way back in May when Alexander Canario took that AB off Tanner Scott, where I was just jaw to my mouth. I just couldn't believe it, jaw open, And we're going to talk about the fourth inning. We're going to talk about all this. But I can live with an umpire making a bad call. I could live with a third baseman making an error. I could live with a pitcher in his rookie season that's carried this club at times having a meltdown in the fifth inning. I cannot live with somebody that is the highest paid manager in the sport and here to help us in those type of games, making a decision that makes absolutely no freaking sense. And the reason why it made no sense is this. Julian Merrywather has struggled since he's come back. He's not the same guy. His last time he pitched was last Wednesday. The only reason he came into that game 8-7 was because the Cubs were trailing. He has been labeled a low leverage guy. We've spoke about this. The main guys in the pen right now are Neris, Hodge, Lopez, Smyly, and Miller. Smyly and Miller have not pitched since Friday. Lopez was clearly available today. Remember, the Cubs had a rare off day Sunday. As you astutely pointed out, Merrywather did not even look good in his seventh inning. It was a 106-mile-an-hour rocket double play ball that escaped it. Your team fighting tooth and nail to get back in this wild card race comes back from 8-3 down. And for once, with second and third one out, they actually get a sac fly, or as you or your father would say, a healthy fly, to tie the game at 8. And you have the momentum. You're right there. And it's not like it was 7-8-9 for Cleveland. It was 3-4-5. And this is not hindsight thinking. You could go on my Twitter feed. You can look at my text with Matt. I said it when I saw him. I said, this is asking a lot. It doesn't make a lot of sense. Merrywather comes out, hangs a changeup, gives up a double. The run comes in. And the worst part about it is, after the damage is done, this was a David Ross special. After the game is lost, they bring in my opinion, their best arm at the moment, Javier Lopez, to clean it up. It makes no sense. Miller and Smiley haven't pitched since Friday. Why weren't they at the game? And please don't tell me it's because Assad is pitching on Tuesday. You don't have the luxury to save arms for the next day. And by the way, Kyle Hendricks was skipped. It was publicly announced that he's available in the pen. So if Assad has a stinker tomorrow, you could just go to him anyway. This decision is as bad as any decision, if not worse, than anyone David Ross has ever made. Now, would the Cubs have lost the game? Did it directly cost the game? We don't know. It was 8-8. And then you want to know what really put me over the edge, Matt? What? Emmanuel Clase comes out for the third time in 3 days, 20 pitches, 14 pitches, and throws again. And it just proves my point, my issue. This team and this manager have a serious lack of urgency. Okay, Cleveland is showing their urgency. They're running their guy out because they're trying to win a division. They would be the one team that could say, hey, let's see if we can get someone else to get the save. We got to save Clase till September.
Right.
And we come out and pitch Julian Merrywather. Do you remember Julian Merrywather Friday against St. Louis? He almost blew the game. That's the guy that comes out for the second inning. I am
brutal.
And the last point I'll make is why we keep talking about all these off days is because it helps the bullpen. You were off Thursday.
Yeah.
You're off Sunday. You're off again on Thursday. So you have so much emphasis to be aggressive with your bullpen. That is such a momentum-killing loss. There's a lot more that went into it that we're going to talk about. But Craig Counsell, he needs to wear that one, and there really needs to be an explanation because that never made any sense.
Yeah, well, there wasn't because he was already asked, so we're not going to get that. Guardians manager Stephen Vogt clearly displaying the urgency you talk about, Sam. He just saw the team across the field come striking back from 8-3 to 8-8. They get a run in the bottom of the eighth. There's only 3 outs left. I'm going to put in a Cy Young candidate to win the game. And that's exactly what happened. And I'm not even going to avoid this. I'm going to go at it right away. Last year, we cited Pythag record, and we framed it in a way in which David Ross was mostly responsible for the gap between real-life results and what should have happened. And you could make a case that Craig Counsell has cost the Cubs, I would say, 2 games this year. I don't know if Monday night was one of them, but I think in the collective, he has cost them 2 games, just as if David Ross allegedly cost them 7 last year. I'm insulted by the quote. Again, it's not about the quote on an island. It's about that he didn't explain it. He actually went on to say that Julian Merrywather pitched well. I delayed our live time just so I could hear him. Yeah. And he didn't disappoint my prediction for his reasoning, and to say that's baseball is I can't swear on this, but it's really disappointing.
Yeah, and that's
it really
what bothers
is.
And that's what bothers me, right? Because he's going to go off of I didn't see the presser, but I could already guess it's something like made a bad pitch to Ramirez and then just some lucky hits. You know, it's like
right, a chopper over the third base.
Yeah. By the way, Josh Naylor does that for a living. He's a run producer. He did that. He did that. That's what he's trying to do. He's just trying to drive in a run. He's not trying to hit the ball hard. He's just trying to drive in a run.
I'm glad Monday's game mattered, but because of why it's such an uphill battle right now to even be in the conversation, every game does matter. Now, hopefully they can mount wins that are enough to carry the losses, right? Like it turned out that the 3 Cubs wins last weekend were way more important than the 1 Cardinals loss, even though the game stunk, just like this one. Turns out that last Monday's clunker against the Twins turned out to be way less important than the series win the next 2 days. So
Yeah.
you could still do things this week that are positive, but right now to climb all the way back in an individual game as you're trying to climb all the way back in the season, that is a blow tonight, and it's a frustrating result. And it's just such a challenge for them this year, and for the manager to leave a low leverage reliever in the game in that spot was inappropriate. And we could keep recapping the game as we go.
Yeah, I just want to wrap on Counsell one more thing. We fired somebody in order to hire him, and we made him the highest paid manager in the league. We should
one of the highest in sports.
We should not be having a conversation where nobody understands the decision in a game of this magnitude. Just shouldn't happen. His energy off the field bothers me. If that's who he is, fine. Again, and maybe we could segue. The Cubs were really impacted today by bad umpiring. Doesn't say a word, just sits there. If that's his personality, if that's fine. But you can't make a decision like that. And I sit here, I tell you this all the time.
Shocking.
I'm not making that decision, right? And you could pay me $1 a year to be the manager. I'm not making that move. So really shocking, really disappointing. I didn't catch his press conference. I'll take your word for it. That's really disappointing for him to double down on that. And then what? Let me just ask you this: what happens if the Cubs win 8-1 tomorrow and then lose 9-3 on Wednesday? There was one moment. You say the wins outweigh the losses, but the Cubs really could lose only like 13, 14, 15 more games all year. So
we don't know that right now, but we could after Wednesday. That's the thing. That's the thing that's conflicting. Now, if they win tomorrow, lose Wednesday, then yes, this becomes huge.
When you're up 3-0 and Ben Lively's pitching versus Shota Imanaga, that's got to be a win. And so let's transition into what else unfolded. It felt like the story was going to be this fourth inning, leadoff walk to Stephen Kwan. Usually those that don't end well. Cubs then get Imanaga strikes out Lane Thomas, I believe, twice. It was one looking, not called, then a swing and a miss, strike 3. Then a ground ball to third, a little in between hop. I think Paredes made a mistake. I think he was trying to turn 2, and just instead of getting out, he wouldn't have turned 2 regardless. E5, big air. Get David Fry to fly out. It's a 3-0 game. Josh Naylor at the dish. And Josh Naylor is a really, really good clutch hitter. He's one of those guys. With nobody on base, he'll flail at pitches, but with men on, he's a different hitter. And Imanaga executed his pitch perfectly. And it was a strike. It was in the zone. It was called a ball. A couple pitches later, Naylor gets a base hit. Next hitter, how do I pronounce that young man's name? The guy that hit the home run? Noli, whatever it is.
I don't know.
He hits a 3-run homer that completely flipped the game around. And if you look at the pitch, it's Noel. If you look at the pitch, Matt, it's a perfectly executed splitter below the zone, which tells me that Noel was guessing. And I just want to make this quick nerdy point. Miguel Amaya doesn't do a good enough job disguising location. If you go back and tonight, guys,
talked about that before.
If you're bored tonight, go to Marquee when they're replaying this game and watch Noel's at bats. When they go fastball, Amaya is setting up so early, so far inside that Noel could feel him, right? You just feel it, just peripheral vision. And then the first time he sets up outside, Noel goes, since every pitch was a fastball, Noel probably just goes, I'm probably getting a breaking ball. And he just cheated. He cheated on it, got it, and hit a home run. If you throw a fastball one of those 2 times and make him think, he would have had no chance. It was really poor. And then unfortunately, and where Imanaga deserves some blame, is he didn't come in after and leave it there. He really melted down there in the 5th inning. And I would say his one criticism of him of this year is when it goes bad with him, it just gets away. It just gets away. And it got away there in the 5th after it was 4-3. And then you guys know the rest. Cubs did a great job coming back, tied it at 8. And we talked about the decision. But, really bad umpiring in this game. It was one-sided. It hurt the Cubs. Unfortunately, it's a dumb part of the game that'll probably not be as much next year. I would assume Counsell. And by the way, the Cubs also had another messed up challenge. I don't know if you caught that today. They challenged a play at second base where the guy was clearly safe, Jose Ramirez. Counsell didn't want to challenge it, so they messed that up. So back-to-back games, they have a messed up challenge, and they completely messed up the back end of the of the bullpen today. So a lot of good from the Cubs offense, a lot of fight, but moral victories mean nothing at this stage. The Cubs are in must-win.
Right. They did it to themselves.
And they did it to themselves. And I'm just going to go to sleep tonight going, I just can't emphasize enough how disappointed I am in the skipper of this team.
All right, let's keep recapping this game. We'll preview Tuesdays as well coming up next. Today's episode is brought to you by Ibotta, a free app that gives you the most cash back every time you shop on hundreds of items, from groceries to beauty supplies to toys, so you can make sure you're beating inflation no matter what you're purchasing. Other apps give you points that don't amount to much. With Ibotta, just add your offers in the app, upload your receipt, and you get real cash that you can cash out to your bank account, PayPal, or gift cards. Join the over 50 million savers and earn cash back every time you shop from over 2,000 brands and retailers, including Lowe's, Macy's, Sephora, Best Buy, and more. Right now, Ibotta is offering our listeners $5 just for trying it by using code LOCKEDONMLB when you register. Just go to the Apple or Google Play Store and download the free Ibotta app to start earning cash back by using code LOCKEDONMLB. That's Ibotta, IBOTTA, and use code LOCKEDONMLB.
Matt, nights like tonight, I have to remind myself that I love sports. I love them so much. I never want them to stop, except on a Monday night like this. But there's no more NBA playoffs. Still got a while. The NFL is about to start up again. The Olympics wrapped up. And FanDuel is going to keep the sports going whenever I want. All I have to do is open the app and dream up bets anytime I'm in the mood. And this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day, all summer long. So head over to FanDuel.com/lockedon. See if there's some sort of prop bet if Sam Olber is going to be bald by the end of the season, because I just can't take this anymore, and start making the most of your summer. It's almost fall. FanDuel, America's #1. I use it every day. Sportsbook.
Cubs play the Guardians at 5:40 p.m. Central Tuesday. You can hear every pitch of the Cubs hometown broadcast on SiriusXM by searching Cubs on the SXM app. Well, Cubs lose 9-8 to the Guardians on Monday, fall to 59-61 on the season. And when I sketched out the rest of the year, now almost 2 weeks ago, honestly, it really wasn't with a playoff spot in mind. It was just with a positive end in mind and a nice round number to end the season with in terms of wins. And sure enough, they entered Monday's action with a game that mattered when 30, 40 days ago, we did not think. And to roar back and then fall like they did, it's hard. Could still win this series, although to win 2 in a row against the Guardians, I was going to say especially their pen, Sam, but I suppose that could be repercussion from Monday's game. That, I mean, Clase is unavailable Tuesday.
You'd hope.
And a good chunk of their pen is as well. Matt Boyd is going to open the game, is going to start the game Tuesday. He makes his first major league start since June 26th of last year before undergoing Tommy John. And then Javier Assad for the Cubs, who's been up and down all year. Effectiveness is one problem he has. We talked about this last week. Going past 5 innings has been really, really hard for him. 7 out of 21 starts, he's done that. And he's averaging 85 pitches a game despite not giving the team much length. So that's going to be the game to even things up. There was many offensive highlights, Sam, on Monday. The Swanson 2-out bases loaded, bases clearing double. Huge. And if you do want to stay in this thing, there's going to be moments like that. It is hard to catch my breath right now, catch my focus. It's just another frustrating one, but perhaps they can respond and then make Wednesday's game matter as well.
Yeah, I mean, it was really good clutch hitting today. It scored 8 runs, right? I mean, you could see why I have a little bit of a urgency, if you will, in the offseason to add another pitcher with the Ben Brown news today, the Cade Horton news today. You see these last 3 starts, Steele, Tyone, and Managa, they're struggling a little bit here. I mean, Steele gave up no earned runs, but if you watch the game, he labored a little bit. And it kind of flipped. But yeah, there was good, but I can't, as a competitor, I'm not frustrated that they lost the game. I think that's fine. This is a good baseball team you're playing. I don't even know if this decision would have mattered. I just don't like my whole thing with this team and this manager at the end of May, Memorial Day weekend, was lack of urgency. It just feels the announcers don't have urgency. It just doesn't seem like they care. It's just everything's fine.
And you're talking Boog and JD, right?
Yeah, Boog and JD. Okay. And like there's no way if we were watching that game with Jed Hoyer next to us and we go, Jed, what's going on here? There's no way he could watch that and think, after he worked his behind off to go get Tyson Miller and he found a way to go get Javier Lopez, and he has to watch his team, and he's been the biggest brunt of all the criticism all year. And he has to watch his team lose such a critical game with those 2 guys, one of them coming in after the game is wrapped up and the other one not pitching at all. It's just those things. Bad calls happen. Shota Managa needs to do better. He needs to overcome that. He admitted that. I just looked at it. He said it was a 50-50 call. That's actually generous. It was probably like a 70-30 call. He can't just unravel like that. Paredes needs to make plays. But that's baseball. That's sports in general. Somebody as intelligent as Craig Counsell, making the money he's doing, cannot make a mistake of that nature. He just can't. And I can't get off of that. Everything else today, huge hit from Swanson. A really, really big day for Ian Happ on his birthday. I think he had 2 outfield assists, 3 walks, and a home run. He was tremendous. PCA had another home run. He continues to progress. 2nd and 3rd, 1 out. Suzuki falls behind, finds a way to tie the game with a sac fly. There was tons of good. Patrick Wisdom, who a lot of people made fun of you because you tweeted on Locked On Cubs, oh, Patrick Wisdom this. It actually proved your point because he didn't get a hit against the lefty, but then he hits the double off the righty. It has no rhyme or reason to it. It's so over matching up the handedness of it. Right. Big hit from – there was so much good in this game today, and I'm disappointed, and I think I'm most disappointed in the fact that there was no acknowledgement or explanation of it. So, yeah, like you said, you got to bounce back tomorrow. This one's tougher for me than the Minnesota one because the Minnesota one's just like, hey, you had a flat out offensive night. Happened. Right. PCA's a young player. He had a miscommunication with Nico. It happens. That shouldn't be happening with a veteran manager that's being paid a lot of money. Just shouldn't.
Yeah. And, the other thing to close the book on this game before we get to Trivia Tuesday, again, embodying the roller coaster nature of not only this game, but the year. And he has changed the lineup. Isaac Paredes had a key at bat in the 7th, 11 pitches, resulted in a hit by pitch.
Yep.
Eventually led to the Swanson double. But the one spot before Counsell's shocking choice that he made that I was most surprised by was I thought Paredes was going to get a hit in the 8th. I did.
Yeah, I don't.
He didn't, and that was a big spot.
Yeah, I don't think you're wrong on that. I think it was a weird game for him because he did a lot of good, but he ended up making probably 2 of the biggest, whiffs of the game. The strikeout and the hit by pitch there. I thought that inning too, was it Talkman should have not struck out in that pitch too. But both guys, I had confidence Talkman was going to get on base there. 3-2 pitch. He just waited an extra second because it was full. Probably could have got it hit by the first pitch. It was just a frustrating one.
The wisdom thing, Sam, what does the binder say that allows him to pinch hit for Michael Busch? What does it say that allows him to start against lefties? Because he's 1 for 7 pitch hitting for Busch. That's my research. I had to go every single game log where this brother did a pinch hit. He's 1 for 7 when he pinch hits for Michael Busch, who, as of today, would be the Locked On Cubs Player of the Year for the Cubs.
Yep.
And then you say, oh, well, maybe against lefty starters, he's better. No, He's slashing 169, 214, 323. Wisdom should not start against Matt Boyd tomorrow. He shouldn't.
Yeah, he will.
He should not start against Matt Boyd, dude.
Look,
that's a prime example of someone who he is not going to be around in 25. He shouldn't have this many ABs of consequence in 24. He shouldn't.
There's just been a few more things that I thought. I thought that the manager was different than this.
Right.
I really got to watch for myself that post game, because if that's exactly how it went, and that I'm going to have a.
What's disappointing is nobody said why did Merrywather come back out for the 8th. Right,
well,
that's a separate thing.
Okay, let's do it. Let's do Reporter Sam here. Let me tell you how the question goes. Not that difficult. Craig,
well, I think I just asked it.
Craig, no, there's more to it. Craig, Sam Olber here, Locked On Cubs. Obviously, you always could play the second guess game in a tight loss, but with all the days off coming this week, and Smiley and Miller not having pitched since Friday, and Lopez coming in after the damage,
you don't even need to do all that, though.
No, I want to stick it. I want to let him know that he made a mistake. Okay. Why Merrywather for a second inning if Lopez is going to come in and pitch and all those guys are available? It's because if you, let me tell you something, if you just go, why Merrywather for that, he's just going to ask that question. He's not going to involve the other guys. Right. So if you involve the other guys, he has to mention those guys.
That's baseball, unfortunately. Maybe Joe can make an obvious shirt of that. He doesn't make negative shirts.
I wanted to emphasize and stick in the fact that those guys were available.
It's a bad take.
Coming up next, do you think Wisdom's going to be on the team next year?
No.
Okay. You shouldn't be playing tomorrow. Coming up next, we're going to close out this episode with, we're going to bring back a little bit of trivia here, third segment, recurring segment, and we do that next. Today's episode is brought to you by SupplyHouse.com, the reliable way to order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Shop a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts, over 400 top brands, to get your order delivered right to your door with fast shipping from coast to coast. Need help with an order? Get expert support and industry-leading service from the friendliest folks in the biz, and talk to a real person every time. Pros in the skilled trades can get a competitive edge by joining SupplyHouse.com's free Trade Master program. Every Trade Master gets access to a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Join the thousands of trade pros already benefiting from their free membership at SupplyHouse.com. Order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies from anywhere. Just a few clicks of a button. That's Supply House over at SupplyHouse.com. Who are the top 3 in combined WAR for a career between the Cubs and the Indians, now Guardians?
Oh, wow. My mind.
Top 3 combined WAR that have played for the Cubs and the Cleveland baseball franchise.
My mind's not there right now. Sutcliffe on there?
Yes, he is. He's number 3. 8 seasons with the Cubs, 3 with Cleveland. And then there's 1 pitcher and 1 position player.
God, it's not Jason Kipnis.
No.
Did Billy Williams? He's kept his whole career with.
Yeah, I don't have him on here.
No, because I don't think he ever played for Cleveland. I just didn't know. I know he might have went to Oakland. He went somewhere at the end.
I got 2 good clues for one for each of them.
All right, yeah, I'm gonna need a clue because I'm just not in a great place.
Mustache.
It's not Rod Beck.
Same position though, closer.
Oh yeah. I know who it is. Was Kenny Lofton on there?
Yes, he's number 1.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm blanking I'm blanking on his. I know who it is.
I could give it to you then, or
Yeah, just give it to me.
Dennis Eckersley.
Yeah, Dennis Eckersley. Yeah,
Go Cubs.
Okay.
Thank you so much for checking out this edition of Locked On Cubs. You give us 20 to 30 minutes. We'll give you all things Cubs with a laugh or two along the way and some trivia too sometimes. Be sure to hit subscribe on YouTube, smash the like button for the algorithm, and leave a 5-star review on Apple, Spotify, and everywhere you get your podcast. We'll do it again tomorrow. He's Sam Olber. I'm Matt Cozy. This is Locked On Cubs.
It's a bad take.